afternoon. I thought because subject is on fostering technologies for fostering innovations in e-governance, I thought latest technology. There are so many things that I had to discuss upon, but I have selected some few subjects which makes together complement and supplement each other to bring some new approaches in dealing the e-governance in this thing. You are putting the PPT? It has come? Okay. Basically, I thought I'll touch upon these subjects which will really give a lot of strength to e-governance. One is, today we are talking about public digital infrastructure. I will tell you what is this all about. Then blockchain, registries and digitally verifiable credentials, consent framework, API gateways and microservices. So many other things, AI and ML today people are talking, enterprise architecture people are talking, a lot of JS was discussed in the morning. So there are so many other things that are really technologies that will help e-governance, but I have selected this because they are inclusively together. Each one of them will supplement or complement the effects. Digital public infrastructure is something which now each one of us in e-governance should look into. We should start focusing on developing a small building blocks, minimum building blocks, which will improve the ecosystem and which will help in delivering the e-governance services effectively and efficiently. And building this digital public infrastructure is more about, not about solving the problem, but about distributing the ability to solve the problem. So one of the most famous example, each one of us knows, is Aadhaar. Aadhaar is having 5-6 parameters. It is a digital public infrastructure. Aadhaar on its own will not do anything, but Aadhaar has helped the ecosystem to implement so many things across the Aadhaar. So build small building blocks, minimal building blocks. For example, another example I want to take is fruits in Karnataka, where it is a farmer registry. And of course, fruits is being replicated across the country in the name of AgriStack. It is a farmer registry. We do MSP using the fruits database. We do give animal forewarning, disease forewarning messages, crop advisories. We give fruits data to the banks. Ramesh Saab is here. We are working with NABARD, where we exchange the data of fruits so that banks can fund to the farmers easily. Their details are available. So digital public infrastructure is something which is very, very important aspect in thing in the e-governance in coming years. Next is the blockchain, because blockchain technology, it is yet to be explored in the government sector. In Karnataka, NIC is having a center for excellence in blockchain. We have so many projects that have been developed here. We have developed I don't go into the details of the blockchain, but I'll give use cases of the blockchain. We have done drug logistics, where people can find out that when this drug was created, what was the checks that was done by the drug logistics department. We see details and everything. And we have a certificate chain of 10th and 11th mass cards of Karnataka, which is being used by the CET for online verification. So then generic document chain is there, birth certificate, death certificate, caste certificates are there on blockchain, and recruitment systems can make use of this and verify. So that physical activity of validation will come down, and it is authentic information. We are building the property chain. Lakhs of records of Bhumi is already on property chain. We are pushing Isvattu and Iyasti, rural and urban properties, onto the property chain, which will help in a big way in validating the authenticity of the documents. Next thing I want to talk about, API Setu. Again, this is very, very important initiative of Government of India, where data exchange should happen. The API platform will enable swift, transparent and safe and reliable information sharing across the applications. This is something which is going to change the e-governance approach that we are going to use in coming days. And to quickly going about, this is another important thing one should think in the e-governance area is registries, building the registries. What is registry? You see, for example, I'll spend some 2 minutes on this because this is a very important thing in e-governance, and one should focus on creating registries rather than the way we are thinking all these days. World is becoming data rich. All of us know we are creating databases, data sets pertaining to people, entities, geographies, resources, assets, etc. Data sets needs to be exchanged through a API platform. That is the reason I brought API Setu into picture, that this data should be electronically moment now the government departments, you go now, first thing that you ask, you have a database, they will ask you dump of the database. A dump de dojiye, so that I'll use that in my application, and there is no single source of truth. So everybody starts working on the redundant copies of the databases. So instead of that, API approach is the best approach for the e-governance. And these registries, why I am talking about registries is these are simple things like teacher registry, institution registry, crop registry, farmer registry. These things are the things which are going to change the e-governance approach in the coming years. And basically, this is what we were doing. This is from Sunbird RC. Thanks to Sunbird RC for, I took this picture from that. In the last century, we were talking about manual papers. These are the data sets basically. During 80s and 90s, we started creating a digital data. In fact, in the early days of my Bhumi days, we had a servers at every taluka, and whole Bhumi data of the taluka used to be there on the servers which are located in taluka office. That is 80s and 90s. Then we came, in 90s, we came to the world of internet, and we started publishing our data onto the public. But it was in silos. Every department has their own databases and all. Now we have to get into the area of digital, interoperable and trusted registries where people exchange the data through an API gateways and build the systems and keep it minimal. So ecosystem should develop and your activity should be minimal. Like fruits will have only farmers data. Fruits as such will not do anything. But MSP is done using fruits. Bank give the credit using fruits. So that is the approach that one has to take. This is basically registry is an interoperable and unified infrastructure that is built to ensure the data sets which are live. Most important in the data sets, they should not be stale. They should be live, and they should be trustworthy, and they should be reusable. And it should become a single source of truth. To touch upon what is digitally verifiable credentials, this is the next thing that everybody should think in the e-governance area, that today we are creating APIs, we are making people to connect to the different databases. We should shift from this API concept to digitally verifiable credentials, wherein you issue a credential, person can go and submit his credentials anywhere without you being approaching the issuing authority. For example, I'll take an example of integration between the land records and the Kaveri. When you go for a registration, it connects Kaveri system, which is registration system, connects to Bhumi and gets the seller information. What if I can give the verifiable credentials to every seller that he will go and produce in front of Kaveri? Kaveri need not connect to the Bhumi at all. It can connect to my registry where I have issued the credentials. If credential is valid, transaction is carried out. Now the dependency on the individual system's uptime will go off. All that I have to ensure is I have to ensure that all the digital credentials that I have issued is available online. So this is something which one has to think in this thing on coming days. Most important of all is the consent framework. We need to concentrate because data privacy, you are creating huge data, and consent is very, very critical here. Without the consent of the owner of the data, you should not share the data. So one way of looking at is digitally verifiable credentials. Another way is that take the consent and give. We have built a system called e-Samati with e-governance. And e-Samati enables the sharing of data with the consent of the data principle. So lastly, I'll touch upon the microservices, our whole of architecture that we are building today. Instead of building a monolithic systems, we should start thinking of building a small blocks and couple them each other without having any interdependence on each of them, so that we can scale better and the activities of one service will not affect the another service. So this is what I just wanted to summarize on new technologies which will help us in improving the e-governance. So thank you. Thanks, Suman.